You're listening to the smooth, patriotic stylings of the world according to Jen and Carolyn. What is up?
Not too much. I feel like it's been days since we last podcasted.
No, it's been minutes. We are doing a double header today, and this one is going to be a bit lighter and really, somewhat lighter. And it's going to tap into what Carolyn does for a living and what I did for a living and still do for a living, right? Because it blends dating and politics. So today we've titled this episode Red Flags, Blue States, Dating Across America's Political Divide.
Love that title.
We want to talk about how intense political and ideological divisions in the U.S. are shaping the modern dating landscape as if it weren't a fucking shit show already. So we're going to talk about how politics influence who we date, how couples navigate these differences, and what it means for relationships in this era of very intense polarization. So let's talk about it. Carolyn, remind folks what you do for a living.
I am a licensed marriage family therapist, and I have up to level 2 in what's called Gottman training. So I work with couples and I try to help them find their nervous system so that they can access the tools and the kind of the more meat and potatoes, for lack of a better word, of managing tactical conversations.
Cool.
Yeah.
I have no such degree, but I was a professional matchmaker.
You
That's
are
right, everybody.
I would not be with my partner if it was not for the matchmaking skills of Jen and our dear friend.
That's right. And it's the one
connection
that worked. I made that worked. And I'm very proud of it. So,
yes.
But yeah, I worked for, it's gone now, so I can say the name, Table for Six, right? The, what was it? The Great Recession was transpiring. I found myself without a job, and I've been working full time since I was 18. I've always had to. And I was like, oh, matchmaking. This sounds cool. So I went on an interview. The guy who interviewed me, who was the husband of the owner of the company, who was a real piece of work. He was cool. He was a USF grad. He saw that I was a USF grad. We bonded. I think that's the primary reason I got hired. And yeah, it was a shit show. The structure, the foundation of it was Table for Six. There were some sort of studies that showed that tables of 3 men, 3 women, if you're into the heteronormative thing, generates good like connection results.
I thought it was going to be the double entendre of 6 and sex.
No, but that sounds great. We also started calling it Table for Anal, and I have no idea why, but we used to hear some crazy stories. Like most of the time, these people were like, yeah, we didn't connect. And sometimes they'd be really angry, but then sometimes there'd be some really juicy stories like, oh yeah, this is what happened under the table at the restaurant.
Oh,
and
shit.
you're like, oh, snap.
So were you like, how did you decide who got to be the 3 and 3?
Oh,
was that where the matchmaking came in?
No, this is where the fucking sheer dearth of men came into the picture. So there were far more female clients than there were male clients.
Naturally.
And so we're like, oh, okay, this woman is going to go out with 2 dudes that she's met before and passed on, but there's going to be one guy at the table she hasn't met. So we'd have to sell it as like, hey, these 2 guys, you met them. Don't worry about them. Your focus is this guy. And in all honesty, it was, this is why I only lasted there for 9-10 months, because it felt really shady and disingenuous. It was just like, oh, these people haven't met yet. Let's make it happen. Like there were too few men to be able to like really meet a woman where she was at in terms of what she was looking for.
Okay.
It was awful.
Okay.
But I learned a lot. And so here we go. We'll put some of that
So they didn't have to do any compatibility, like, oh, you guys both scored in this, or you guys both agree with.
Should have been done.
Okay.
Because everybody, when they enrolled, when they set up a membership,
they filled out questionnaires. I'm sure
it's like 2-hour interviews with the craziest alcoholic saleswoman I've ever met. She was nuts.
Really?
She was like super cute, wore designer stuff, but she would like do things like fall down and break her leg on the houseboat she lived on. She was wasted on a ladder trying to change a light bulb, you know, she was also a hot mess, like dropping a tuna fish sandwich in her office on the ground and then rolling over it with her desk chair.
Gross.
So the office smelled like tuna for a week. We're like, Kim, what is wrong with you?
She's like, I'm drunk.
It was,
leave me alone.
I got bottles of vodka at the store across the street before my next meeting.
Shouldn't laugh. That's terrible.
It's terrible. It's not, but the whole thing made for like what should have been a reality show.
Oh, I bet.
Had this been a reality show,
well, these were reality shows. Remember Millionaire Matchmaker?
Yes.
Those were big deals.
We were way more entertaining, but also far more immoral. So,
oh dear.
Let's talk about...
Well, we should preface this with you and I have both been off the dating market.
Yeah.
Me for 3.5-ish years.
Yeah.
You for 13 years?
Oh, no. Almost 15.
Okay. Yeah. So we are not, we're adjacent to it in the sense that we still have single friends and I have clients who are actively dating, but I certainly have not been on what's out there. I can only imagine it because it's pretty disgusting and shitty when I was dating.
Well, you dated during Trump 1.
I did.
You were out there dating.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything particularly like cataclysmic happening around political
ideology.
Weirdly,
I never had anything about political ideology.
We're also in San Francisco, too.
Well, but that was one of the things. You did have to, like, I wouldn't have dated someone if they were Republican.
Yeah. Oh, no, never. That's, and we're going to talk about that here, right?
Yes.
Is it possible to date or even marry somebody who has these very divergent political views?
And Maria Shriver.
I know that's a weird one.
Well,
that's a weird one. But even as a Republican, I look at Schwarzenegger and I'm like, oh, you're actually like, I agree with a lot of the stuff you say. Like, you're not full-blown insane.
Right.
Anyway, let's talk about the political climate and how it intersects with our personal lives. But, you know, in today's America, politics isn't just something we talk about at the dinner table. And I would say it's always been this way, at least for those of us who tie their morals and values to their politics. Mm-hmm. But, you know, for the sake of argument, it's even more pronounced now. It's influencing friendships, families, and now romantic relationships. Mm-hmm. We're seeing people cut family members off because of their affiliation with Trump.
And you should.
Yeah. I agree. Hope. Well, you do what you want to do, but know that you don't have to take anything that feels toxic, is what I'll say.
That unhappiness, though, that I observe with people, where I'm like, but there's always something where it's like they get money. Mm-hmm. There's a tit for tat. And it's like, well, I have to deal with my, you know, crazy grandpa saying stuff. But it's like, but the amount of stress it puts on them.
Yeah. I don't think there's
I can't tell you how to live. But
there's not
you're
a lot.
in therapy upset about it, so it probably is causing something happening to you.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that I would do for money that conflicts with my values. That's just me, though. I'm not judging people who are in that situation. They're like, I'm going to inherit $1 million from grandpa unless I tell him to stop saying shit about the blacks.
Right.
The blacks. Like, crazy grandpa. Like, I had nothing to inherit from my great aunt and my great uncle who were absolutely insane. So I could get up and leave the dinner table when they said disparaging things about people of color. Yeah. I was like, ugh. I can almost say with certainty that had there been a monetary value assigned to my tolerance, I would have still walked out, but who the fuck knows?
I know, right?
Who
That's
knows?
Fair.
I wouldn't owe $140,000 in student debt, maybe, if I endured rich Uncle Andy's bullshit.
Right,
if he had been rich. Yeah. Anyway, that's an aside. So studies show that political polarization affects how people evaluate social connections, with even friendships crossing party lines being rare. Mm-hmm. So fewer than 10% of friendships in the U.S. span opposing political views. Makes sense. Mm-hmm. But what about dating, where bonds are typically even more deep than friendship? Mm-hmm. Does politics affect who we date? Give us some insight based on research, Carolyn.
Got it. All right. So this is all in our show notes, but I'm pulling this from the Singles in America. They do this annual study. It's from the Kinsey Institute. We also have a lot of Pew research. So that's where it's coming from if you want to look at the report. So yes, 77%. To answer your question, of couples sharing the same political party and less than 8% being Democrat-Republican pairs. And let me reframe what's actually happening here in a clinical setting. All right. So this isn't about being closed-minded or living in echo chambers. So when we look at this from nervous system, intimate relationships, polyvagal theory, Gottman, any kind of couples therapy, right? Our nervous system, in order to have any good connection, you have to feel safe and calm and connected and vulnerable. That's where intimacy happens. So when your partner's political beliefs signal that they don't recognize threats that you or I would face or actively support policies that endanger our bodies, and I'm saying women here, our families and our communities, you're not going to be able to achieve that level of safety unless you enjoy arguing about that and that actually gets you off, which, hey, all right. But and I saw this a lot. I hadn't necessarily encountered this in a lot of the couples that I was working with, but I did see that in the pandemic. None of the couples that I was working with at that time made it through the pandemic. Very few of them did. Because look at what why would you ever have talked about that? Hey, I'm not going to go outside and wear a mask. Yeah. Or I'm going to go over to so-and-so's house and we'll keep our social distancing. And then you have a partner who's highly anxious about that, or that like, hey, no, absolutely not. We're keeping in our bubble. Yeah. So automatically you had that come in.
Is that where you saw a lot of the disagreements come from?
Things about like just valuing the science of it. I see. Or valuing, like, we made a commitment that we were going to keep something small. And then I found out that you went to a party. Oh. So it's shady stuff in and of itself. Got it. But through this lens of, take you and Bill, did you guys align as a couple? Yes. When it came to the pandemic? Totally. Yeah. So can you imagine if one of you had been like, well, I don't care if this doesn't bother me. Why? Yeah.
It would have been a discussion for sure.
To leave our groceries out in the garage for 24 hours. Like something really small like that. And some partner being like, I fucking need those, like bring them in the house. Right. Right. So so I definitely saw that happen. So here's what's critical. And we often take a decolonialized feminist lens, right? Yeah. Oh no, my heating pad. I can't lose you.
Turn it on. It's cold down here. Fell. San Francisco.
I know, right? So here's where we want to look at this. Whose safety gets to matter in that conversation? My belief is whoever feels unsafe matters more.
I agree.
Personally. Yeah. And there's research around this. So Neil Malhotra's research at Stanford shows that political affiliation has become almost as important as education level in a mate selection. I actually wouldn't care necessarily what your education is.
Me neither.
It's how you
have a job.
Just have a job and like don't have a chip on your shoulder about it. I could care less if you have a degree. Oh yeah. But here's why we need to, but we do need to ask why. When we talk about bipartisan couples, or dating across the aisle, as it's often referred to, we're often centering the comfort of people whose identities aren't directly threatened by the policy. For women facing reproductive healthcare restrictions, for LGBTQ plus folks watching their rights being rolled back, for immigrants and their families, or for Blacks and any community of color, political alignment isn't just about preference, it's survival. Yeah. And Gottman's research, so John and Julie Gottman are part of a Gottman method, which is the training that I received. It's not the be all end all. There's lots of different kinds, but they did a lot of research on what basically where others couples therapy was like, let's teach people how to talk to each other. They're like, well, what makes the couple that stays together and says they're happy, but they fight all the time? How do they work? When this couple who never fights, they're miserable and they get divorced. So they were able to actually synthesize that research, and it's very cool if you like research.
That does sound fascinating.
So research shows that successful relationships require being able to physically turn towards each other for bids for connection. Yeah. So like you said, you and Bill, if there was something maybe that you guys saw differently, you would say, hey, let's talk about this. Yeah. Let's have a conversation. Let me hear what you have to say. Let me talk about what I have to say. Let's see what other people, let's look at this. Then we'll come to either we're going to mutually give and take, it'll be your way or my way, or we'll figure something else out, or we'll table this for later.
Yeah. And that's a lot easier to do when I know my partner didn't vote for somebody who wants to deprive me of my reproductive rights.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what happens when that bid connection is I'm terrified about what's happening to my healthcare, or your partner's political choice directly contributed to that terror, right? To your point, it's not a solvable problem. And actually only about the Gottman research is a terrible statistic. Only about 30% of most couples' arguments are actually solvable.
Wow.
So if it's just a simple...
What does solvable mean now?
Like, do you want Chinese or pizza tonight? Okay. That's a problem.
Okay.
Versus, I want to circumcise our kid. I don't.
Okay. Because when he says it's not solvable, does that mean that somebody ultimately is going to make a concession they don't feel comfortable about? And so it's not really solved?
Yeah. The solving is either mutual give and take, or let's stay in status quo for a little bit. Let's figure this out versus let's say perpetual gridlock. Okay. Right. So what Gottman calls perpetual gridlock, and it exists because there's a fundamentally different, what he calls dreams within a conflict, but values, morals, kind of everything, belief systems, all these things. So that 77% statistic, that's people protecting their nervous system and choosing partners who actually see and validate threats they face. They're adaptive. They're not decisive. And I think for anyone, you have to have those conversations early.
Oh, yeah.
And talk about those things. And it is uncomfortable, but that is the early relationship is 3 parts: commitment, conflict, and connection.
Having these sorts of like value conversations in regard to politics, which to me are my morals and values. Politics seems too light a word to describe the way I feel about things that have become politicized, but are really human and civil rights issues. Yeah. But having those conversations early on are as important, I think, as having conversations about whether or not one wants children. You know, like
it's our 3rd date.
Right. Well, it's super important.
And what if I get pregnant?
Yeah.
How do you feel about abortion? How do you feel about this? What would happen if this? What would happen to this? Now, here's another thing that I think it's not often polarizing beliefs. One partner feels really passionate. The other one's like, I don't really pay attention to politics.
I see.
Or, I like sports. Let's just talk about happy things.
Okay. So there's privilege inherent in that.
I interpret that passivity as also not caring. And I think that's a sign of privilege. But, you know, you're not, don't confuse love with compatibility, basically. You might love each other endlessly. That's just fucking chemistry.
Right.
That's just fucking hormones, right? Compatibility matters a lot. Totally. Yes, absolutely. Chemistry is important too. That's where it all starts, and you should be attracted to your friend. But you have to be compatible.
Yeah. One day we're heteronormative folks, that puss is gonna dry up and that dick ain't gonna work, and y'all better have some stuff to talk about, because shit's gonna get really boring really fast if you don't.
Aww, that's what lube's for, John.
Yeah, I know.
That's what Viagra's
you know what I mean? Like, you're going to get old.
Your
you're going to have ailments.
Friend will not allow that to happen in your relationship.
I'm going to have. Agreed. Yeah. But agreed. I mean, it has to be more than just that chemical, like, I can't get enough of you physically.
In fact, if that's, and I even remember commenting, I'm like, God, Maria and I never fight. And I was like, we better fight about something soon, because I need to see how we fight. Like, I know that doesn't sound great.
No, it's absolutely normal and important and necessary.
Don't confuse compatibility with we agree on everything.
Right.
I love when we disagree about something, because I want to hear where that comes from. And I want to learn, and hopefully have a partner who goes, well, let me hear what that is like for you. Right. Oh, I didn't think about that.
Right.
You might shift that conversation along the line. That's what a good relationship hopefully brings.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's communication and negotiation, especially when you have a kid in the mix. Holy shit, the negotiation that has to transpire there. And Bill and I are on the same page when it comes to philosophically how we want to raise, how we want to parent our child. And we still have, healthy disagreements about what certain responses to certain behavior should fucking look like.
Yes.
It's not easy.
No, it is not.
So
it is not. It is not.
So let's talk a little bit about dating deal breakers and deal makers.
Whee!
So many people tend to consider political views when evaluating dating prospects, as we said. Some dating apps report rising percentages of users actively filtering for partners who share their political identity, a trend some matchmakers describe as on steroids, as it should be, and is reflective of the times. And other surveys suggest political alignment becomes a deal breaker, primarily in long-term relationship scenarios, while casual dating may be less affected. When Trump got elected the first time, I worked with a woman, I won't say where, and she was in a live-in relationship with a boyfriend who voted for Trump. And she was so sad and would talk to me often about like, I don't know if I can stay in the relationship with this person.
It's probably not going to get better.
Yeah.
If you are disagreeing on fundamental things,
right.
I didn't think about this when we were writing this, but I bet, and I know for a fact that people are also manipulating this fact that women are looking for a certain metric, and it goes both ways, but I don't trust certain incels to not pretend to be a certain way just to get laid.
Yes, that's true. And then also what I really like seeing is, and we talked about it on last week's episode, the person that, what do you call them again? Like not a hacker. Yeah. A hacker who was like, these white supremacist dating sites, I'm going to create an AI chatbot that makes them think they're talking to this perfect conservative woman. And then I'm going to break their hearts. Oh, and
what's the name of it? It's got the best name. It's like Pussy Warrior or something.
Some shit. But yeah, this person dressed up as the pink Power Ranger and live at a conference, like was like, oh, you want to see me shut down this fucking white supremacist dating site? And like, shut the shit down. Like, what I wouldn't give to be that brilliant.
Me too.
And that diabolical. Diabolical for good, if there's such a thing.
I wish I understood how to manipulate computers better and do that on the side of good.
Know.
Yeah.
I know.
So be careful.
Yes.
Still trust your gut. You know, just because he's wearing a All Lives Matter. I'm sorry. If he's wearing an All Lives Matter getaway, it's Black Lives Matter. Yeah. If he's wearing All Lives Matters, you got your answer there.
We wouldn't be compatible with that person. So, politics can signal core values, which, as I keep saying, politics is not a strong enough word. These are my values. This is who I am as a person. Yeah. Like, you talk shit about trans folks in front of me, you are actively punching down on one of my best friends in the world and the godfather of my child. This is personal. This is war. I will fuck you up. Yeah. And
we don't talk that way.
We don't. We don't. So, these core values, they are, as you point out all the time, they are essential for a foundation to a healthy relationship. And I don't think there are questions being raised, at least for us, about how politics should shape relationships. I think it's high time that this made as big of a difference as it seems to be making in this day and age. Yeah. It's so important. So, agreed. Tell us a little bit more about like the challenges that transpire within relationships. Like, give us the research. It's one thing to choose a partner based on politics, but what about staying together when views differ? Do you see any hope for this?
Well, again, it depends on the couple, but let's look at what the research says. So University of Illinois research on couples fighting over media consumption and news sources is revealing something much deeper than disagreements about what to watch. It's a phenomenon being called negotiated exposure, where partners struggle over whose news sources to consume.
Oh, interesting.
I have not run into this. No, I want to watch CNN. Fuck CNN. We're a KQED family, right? Whatever.
KQED. I love fucking KQED.
So I guess it's a phenomenon, right? So it impacts emotion. Now, again, I think media consumption and phones and that cause a lot more problems directly impacting intimacy and relationship satisfaction.
Just the use of, regardless of what you're consuming?
No, everything's a conversation. If I'm sitting on my phone, we do this in the morning, get up out of bed, go look at our phones, Sunday morning, crawl back in bed. We're kind of scrolling. But
it's the equivalent of reading the newspaper and drinking your coffee in bed on a Sunday morning like our parents did.
Absolutely. And then it's like, all right, let's put our phones away and we're going to go do this now.
Right.
Like, that's different. That's me saying, hey, can you get off your phone now? Like, I want to pay attention. And then usually he's like, let me check the square. Let me do one more thing. I'm like, yeah, okay. And for me, it's like, can you stop making TikTok posts and stop checking to see how your video did? Anyway, so, you know, from Gottman framework, this maps what he calls a harsh startup. So harsh startup of these media conflicts arise. They're not really CNN versus Fox News. They're about one partner saying this news source validates my reality and threats I'm experiencing. The other partner responding with contempt, dismissal by changing the channel or saying, you know, you're an idiot. Like any of, you know, criticism, defensiveness, contemptuous talk, and shutting down is a predictor of a relationship failure. Okay. These are all things. But let's go even deeper. You ready? So when we know that when we consume news about threats to our safety, our autonomy, our communities, our nervous system is going to activate. That's a healthy nervous system. That's appropriate. We've talked ad nauseum about the Polyvagal framework, showing us that we need partners who can co-regulate with us and say, hey, I see that as a threat to you too. And we have to navigate this together. I mean, that's like the most beautiful statement. Anyone out there, if you just want to use that as a statement to say when someone else is upset, you'll probably have a better conversation. Totally. That's a soft startup. Yeah. Right? Soft is, oh man, like you're really having a strong reaction to this. Like, tell me what's going on for you versus you're a dumb bitch. That's stupid. Turn that off. Right?
I stop doing that to my husband.
You're a dumb bitch.
Feelings.
Unless you're
Why
Gemini.
Do you have feelings?
Don't talk to each other like that. Right?
I'm also an Aquarius. So I'm like,
I'm a Cancer. I'm sad.
Shit. What's that? You're like, yeah.
I need to cry about this with you, Jen. Do you want to listen to my poem?
No. Ew. Don't journal at me. Don't poem at me. I'm not here for any of it. Reflective behavior. Who dis?
So
broken.
We wouldn't. We make good friends. We probably wouldn't make a good married couple.
Yes.
No, we would. I think
we would. We agree. We agree on
we
plenty.
We haven't done enough things. Yeah. But I would want to read things to you, and you'd be like, "Oh God."
I feel like Mario's that way to you.
He is. He gets it. He gets it. I know. So again, anytime you're in a partnership where your partner, and also anyone out there who's in this partner, please listen to this. If your partner dismisses, minimizes, worse defends the source of your, or worse defends the source of a threat that you're feeling, even if it doesn't matter, you cannot achieve safety in that relationship.
Interesting and makes a ton of sense.
And don't say, well, he just needs to go to therapy. No, bitch, because if you can't make him do that, what makes you think I'm going to be able to make him do that?
Yeah, he's supposed to love you.
He's either going through a mental health issue, which he needs help and support, or you need to leave.
Right.
Like, just saying. Anyway. Yeah. So here's where we look at this now. Let's decolonialize this. This is negotiated exposure. Language makes it sound like both partners have different preferences, but it's about power dynamics. That's what we want to pay attention to, especially in heterosexual relationships. Yeah. Although you see, well, the research that Gottman's done on, I can say I have done on same-sex partnerships, and I'll post this research up there, is that what makes same-sex couples, what they have above heterosexual couples is that they have that shared meaning. We are a minority that we have to stay together because it's us against the world.
But there's even like intersectionality within those relationships.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
You know,
absolutely. But that feeling of you see this, especially with a reality getting validated, whose fears get taken seriously. So that's the power dynamic, whatever you're in, even if it's with even in any partnership with a boss, with coworkers, there's, you have to pay attention to these power dynamics because if you're being marginalized, you're tracking legislation that affects your body, your family, your citizenship, your life. Let's just name that today. And your partner watches or listens to or is part of a family. This also comes up where they're part of a family. Right. They don't want to manage. And now you're the person in the new family. Now I am so fucking lucky because my partner is like from the like Cadillac of liberal San Franciscans.
Yeah, it's true.
And they are as safe as can be. But I can't imagine what that must be like. Well, I can't imagine what that is like if you are that partner going into a very racist family and your partner knows it, but they're appeasing it. Oh, Jen's raising her hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am, no, God, this is a hard one, you guys, but like,
well, you've managed this in your own family.
I've managed this in my own family, but then joining my husband's family,
Yeah.
like his dad, God love him.
As was mine.
He wasn't always this way, but he was a Fox News.
Mine as well.
Said terrible shit about people of color.
Mine as well.
And said to my husband, like, I really like Jen. I just wish she weren't so liberal. And then also blamed me for making Bill more liberal, which I gladly take
liberal pussy
ownership of. Yeah, right? that democratic socialist pussy must be something. But yeah. But I used it. No, but really, like,
I know.
I am proud to say that, and granted, my husband's always been a Democrat, but slowly but surely, and then through formal education, right? Like labor studies and stuff, and taking those classes, the progress that my husband has made in better understanding the perspectives and the feelings of people that don't look like him. I mean, that has expanded tenfold in the time that we've been together. So I will put a feather in my cap when it comes to liberalizing on my husband. And I know what it feels like to walk into a family where you're hearing things where you're like, oh my God, did I really just hear that?
Yeah. No, I appreciate you bringing that up. I think that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Because what if he hadn't done that? You know, and then you're dealing with this person who's telling you, man, I know, but like, what am I supposed to do? They're my family.
Right.
If you hear that, get your asses to couples therapy.
Yeah. And we did not get to the point where I said, like, I no longer want to interact with your family.
Right.
It would have been interesting, to say the least, had I said that. Like, I can't be around your dad when he's saying those sorts of things anymore. And so you're going to have to leave me behind when it comes to, you know, family.
Yeah. Or when
stuff.
you have a child. I don't want my child to hear that.
That would have been a really interesting conversation that we didn't get to have because his dad passed right before Liam was born. But there are certainly things that my father-in-law said in front of my niece and nephew when they were kids that I'm like, oh, I would not want my child being subjected to that at all. And I feel like as a parent, and I also think that my husband, I think he would have had a dialogue with his dad. I think he would have said, like, Dad, you can't say those things in front of our kid if you want to continue to be a part of our family. But a lot of people can't expect that of their partners, like you said.
Well, and I agree. My dad's similar, and I think about that all the time. What would have, and he voted for Trump the first time around.
Right.
And I don't know what would have, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I died day before Bill's dad. And it's like, I wonder what's happened to this country that he loves so much, but was racist.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Said some terrible things all my whole childhood, how that would have panned out. And it's true. It's like, so it's very easy for me to sit on that ivory tower and say, oh, well, cut your family off. I want to say I would have, but I also can see my mom being like, but it's your dad, please don't, or what are we going to do?
There are a lot of factors.
Don't do this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, again, back to this. It's not just politics, right?
Yeah.
So it's heavy. It's heavy, and we get it, and that's why you need to talk to people.
Yeah, because you need systems are complicated enough, and then you've got this involved, and you've got people across the country saying, "I no longer talk to my dad, my uncle, my grandpa, whatever," because they won't get off the Trump soapbox, and I can't be subjected to that. Like, as somebody who hasn't talked to their biological mom in almost 20 years because of like terrible physical and mental abuse, like, I will never tell somebody stop talking to your parent, but I will say, like,
this is what it did for me.
Right. Or when you get to this point where the toxicity is having such a deleterious impact on your day-to-day existence. And then, oh my God, if you factor in impact on your children, like that, or how you are as a parent to your children because you are dealing with this constant stress and toxicity. Like you have to
put
make
yourself first.
You do. And your family, your nuclear family.
Yes. Otherwise you're in a codependent relationship with someone else, and that's toxic.
Yeah.
So it's not ideal. And so, again, these 2025 singles in America, 70% of them are saying, hey, let's not even have that be in the mix.
Yeah.
So this emotional divide between, and this is again, men and women is growing. 79% of women report they can spot toxic masculinity by the third date.
Fuck yeah, we can.
I bet you can in the first date, sweetheart.
I bet you can within the first 30 minutes.
You can.
Yeah.
You can. You can tell within the writing. It isn't coincidence. It's nervous system. And I think also a lot of education.
Yeah.
This is where I do think social media has been helpful.
Little bite-sized pieces of therapy on TikTok.
Mm-hmm. Maybe someone's going to break up with someone because of this today. But yeah, your threat detection system isn't off. Trust me. You've adapted to the trying to figure things out for so long that the pattern is not changing the behavior.
Yeah.
Which was relevant in our last episode. So couples who navigate this successfully aren't the ones who agree to disagree. They're the ones whose both partners realize that some political realities represent genuine threats, and they show up as allies, not obstacles to each other's safety and dignity. Again, for me personally, if you were pro-life, I could not be with you.
No.
And there's no like you being like, well, I understand. We're probably your ally in that. Like my allyship is going to require a lot more than just that. But it's not about perspective in this case. It's about relationship skill.
Yeah.
And it's about whether your partner fundamentally sees your humanity as worthy of protection. And your nervous system, mine, we know the difference.
I wonder if you framed this conversation I wonder how many people would change if they really heard and processed my decisions politically have a negative impact on this person that I love more than anything, feeling safe with me.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, if I found out that anything that I did or said made my husband feel unsafe, I would be like, okay, I'm ready to reevaluate this stuff. I'm ready to at least reflectively and critically look at this behavior.
It's really rare though, John. There's
That's
a lot
so fucking sad.
Well,
then you don't truly love the person.
Two things though. Could be personality disorder, for sure.
That's true.
Could be trauma. Once you have been in such a negative feedback, you just shut down. Yeah. And you can't, this is what I do see with same-sex couples or any couple that's going through something that's really profound. Yeah. I can't take care of you and take care of myself. Like, this is really hard. I got it, divide and conquer. And so the window of tolerance, I think, and this I think is a global issue. A friend of mine made a post about, a really relevant post about how ADHD was, from this person's job and then kind of what they come home with and all this stuff. And I'm looking at this, I'm going, okay, well, that's, we have to be cautious about, how much we keep that window of tolerance to stress. I'm going, well, yeah, but that person is in a stressful job that's systemic. Yeah. They don't want to be in that stress. They don't want to be staring at a computer all day, looking at a computer, dealing with that level of stress to then come home with. And now you're going to tell them they have to do this and this when the problem is 10 steps down the line. Right. That I think people are so just flooded and toxically burnt out. Yeah. That they can't even get to that place. Yes. That's usually, you're absolutely right. That's like 4 to 8 sessions worth of work is to get someone where you guys are to say like, wow, I actually care that I'm hurting you.
Most people are, I think, overwhelmed with and preoccupied by the day-to-day. Yeah. So much so, especially in America, where things move incredibly quickly. Yes. And especially if you're a parent, you're doing 80 hours.
When are you going to have time
of work?
I require 6 hours a week of additional couples work in addition to addition to the 90-minute session. Right. And some of that's date night, but that's having time to have a conversation. Now you're right. You add on school, stress, work,
small
bills,
people
mortgages.
whose lives depend on you.
Oh, they get sick. You don't have health insurance.
Right. I think
it's a lot.
And I tout how functional and healthy mine and my husband's relationship is, but that's because we're both in amazing union jobs with incredible benefits, with wonderful supervisors who both think like, get your work done and whatever else you need, I got you.
Yeah. And your family first. Yeah. Well, and you've been through therapy.
Yeah.
We're
both educated. You're both highly educated.
You both can at least, and again, we fight. Fighting's normal. Fighting's healthy. Of course. You're not.
And we're not, the stresses we have about money are, that's by our own making, right? We both love to spend money on bullshit. And we're like, we got to rein it in.
But it's used bullshit.
But it is. At least we're doing the ethical thing there. But at the same time, it's like we also make, to most people around the country, a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so we don't have to worry about where our food's going to come from, like I did when I was growing up.
Well, and let's also bring this back to, these are singles in America who in my 20s, I don't know that I didn't think about not the way I do now. Not the way I do now.
I was probably...
You've always been...
I've always been this way, or at least since I was like 18 and became completely, not radicalized, but like educated.
Right.
You know?
But I think most people are just... I didn't have a lot of these skills. I didn't have any of these skills, to be quite honest. When I thought I had, it was what it was.
Yeah.
But I don't know that... Yeah. I mean, little things. I remember I didn't want to date someone because they hunted. And I thought that I was like, oh, you hunt and kill
also
things?
too, I think that
feels icky.
This Generation Z or whatever the fuck they are, maybe too far a degree, there's a lot of emphasis on fucking feelings, which, there's a balance,
more millennials.
Right? I'm a millennial.
Sorry.
Yeah, Gen Z is the new generation, right? And the people who are dating right now, not exclusively, right? There are people our age who are still dating, of course. But there is a lot of emphasis on my feelings, and which is good. You're like,
you can't stand feelings though.
But you can't, not exclusively.
Well, and they found that in couples therapy.
Yeah.
That, do you know that old couples therapy used to be a Nerf stick where they thought it was all about catharsis? I'm mad at you for doing this. Whack. And they'd whack each other.
I kind of like that.
Session. I kind of do too. I feel like that for me,
I'm bringing it back.
You didn't do the dishes.
Yeah. You mean, where's my stick?
I
where's my
if anyone can find that for me at a thrift store, I will pay top dollar for this. Like,
we're bringing it back.
Antique ass, like couples, everything. But they thought people just had to have this catharsis of emotion. And then the next iteration was emotion-focused therapy, imago, let's just talk about our feelings.
Right.
And then what they found was, no, that's not enough.
Yeah.
In fact, that just keeps you in this loop, because also feelings are completely to the mercy of a system and what's happening in the moment.
That's true.
So I can feel a certain way now. And I could even say this in retrospect. I remember being categorically no, that person's an asshole. I hate them. I did nothing wrong. And now I look at them, I'm like, wow, I really fucked that.
Wow.
Where it's like, hindsight. Nah, I really kind of jumped the gun on that one.
The more you know.
I didn't really listen. Yeah. I might be the asshole sometimes.
Not I'm part of the problem.
Not often. But yeah,
I'm the whole ass problem.
I think that yes, your emotions are important.
Yeah.
But if you're not also ready to have a skill, people want skills.
That's true.
How do we talk about this then? And also, again, you could look at this even from a cultural standpoint. Well, you can have that and I can have that. How do we figure this out though?
Yeah. And I don't want to mischaracterize an entire generation, but if your emotions are solely focused on you, then we're talking about some narcissistic behavior here, and that benefits no one, bro.
That's a big point of this too, that you both have to be willing to give 100%. It's not 50-50.
Right.
You both have to be willing to say it doesn't, if I win, that means you lost. This isn't a sports game.
No, it's not. It's not about winning and losing. It's not about one person coming out over another person. It's about negotiation and finding things that work for both of you.
And connection.
Yeah.
And we, to our detriment, I don't know that we've done a great job. We've taught our kids how to figure out their emotion, which is a big thing. But then what do you do with that?
It's true. And today, Bill and I were... I'm very decisive, right?
You are.
This is how I've always been. Not. This is why I work in government and I make decisions, and granted, no decisions happen quickly in government, but sometimes you do have to make some quick decisions. And this is just who I am. And Bill was putting up a shelf today and we were talking about where in my child's room to put it. And he wanted to put it in a different place. And after the end of the conversation, I was like, yeah, whatever, that's fine. And I walked away and he
you're in
took that
big trouble
as me being dismissive. And I go, no. I go, I don't need to him and haw. Like, that wasn't me being dismissive. That wasn't me being pissed because you're going with something different than what I initially suggested. This is me being like, on to the next thing.
Yep.
I got dishes to do.
Yeah.
You know, I've got other stuff that has to happen. And he's like, oh, my feelings don't matter. And I was like, your feelings very much matter. But then I made it about me. I was like, oh, both my boss and I always talk about how like decisive women who make decisions quickly without a lot of like emotional fanfare, we're bitches. We're dismissive of other people's feelings. I'm like, that's not what I'm trying to do. That part was true. But also, to your point, there was something going on with him as to why he was having that sort of reaction to me being like, that's fine, I don't care, and walking away. To him, like that was construed as something
I would have interpreted
negative.
that the same way.
Yeah, you're both very emotional people.
Yes.
Whereas if I were talking to your fiance, he and I would have been fine.
Yeah.
Like Italian yelling, like, okay, put it wherever. All right, fuck, forget about it. Bye. You know, that's how it would have been.
We literally had that where I was saying yesterday where I was like, can you say that again? But this time say it really like with a smile and this, because I'm misinterpreting your tone.
I had to coach you on how to have a relationship with an Italian-American man because it's a thing. Like there's culturally, there's a way that we communicate and it's loud and it's decisive.
It comes across curt
as and angry, and it's just like, no.
I always think he's angry. He's like, I'm just talking. I'm like, it's so loud.
Yeah, we're very loud people. So that's just how it is. So, you know, some couples, they manage political differences like you talked about with empathy and perspective taking, which can buffer the stress, which others find increasingly fraught and difficult to do. And I would say most people probably fall into the latter category because they haven't done a lot of exploration on how to have difficult conversations, regardless of the content.
Yes.
You know?
And if it says modeled for you?
Oh, God, no. Yeah. I had fucking lesbian screaming matches with a different girlfriend every couple of months, man.
I had Jewish suppression.
Yeah, Jewish silence and depression and shame. Like, oh my God. So, you know, anecdotal dating conversations from social platforms, they reflect the emotional realities. Some daters say discovering political differences can dampen attraction or leave them feeling misunderstood. And feeling misunderstood sucks.
Yeah.
So others describe trying to navigate political disagreements in long-term relationships as struggling to balance personal values with love and respect. What you were saying. How can you possibly love and respect me when you're voting for somebody who's trying to take away my humanity? Yeah. You know? And,
he's going to do a lot for the economy.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Let me get back to you when I'm wearing that red dress and that white bonnet, bitch.
Right.
You know? Because that's how it is for us. So these personal narratives and what Carolyn and I have been saying, they remind us that relationships are messy, emotional, and far more nuanced than the survey data that we've been looking at alone. And should politics be a dating filter? We think yes. There are different perspectives, though. You know, some argue that discussing politics early on in first dates, as we said, are healthy and prevent future conflict or even getting together in the first place. That's important. Others suggest that focusing too heavily on politics within dating can distort compatibility and reduce people to policy positions rather than the whole person's. I don't think that's the case.
I mean, I think it's the same with politics is different than like religion.
Okay.
Like, if I'm Jewish, Mario is not. And I did say right up, I was like, I hope it's okay with you. If it's not, tell me, but like, I want to celebrate Shabbat. I want to do Passover. This would be a part of our lives. And it was, I remember like, I think people often think, and the old mindset is, oh, well, you have to have these similarities in some of these things. Again, that can be worked around. But if you want your partner involved in that, you have to tell them early on.
Yeah.
and you have to let them know.
Right.
If I was a Jehovah's Witness, I would need to say these things because they're going to come up later.
How much harder would that relationship have been for you if your mom were consistently pressuring you to marry a nice Jewish man?
My mom was always pressuring to marry a Jewish person.
Really?
And I always said I didn't care.
Yeah.
And also you sent me to Catholic school. So.
And Episcopalian school.
So
I always said you'd be a great religious studies teacher.
Yeah. But they always wanted that. And but she comes from that era.
Right.
Where it just made things easier.
Right.
And I think I grew up in an era where I had friends who were in fact, most of my friends were in result of a mixed marriage, and the partner just came along, or they embraced it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't problematic. I think this is all kind of old ways of cleansing, and
easier isn't always better, right?
No,
like
I like having the two things,
right. But coming from the perspective of, one of my moms being married to a black man for 40 years, like they often did not see eye to eye. Because my mom, as a white woman with blonde hair and blue eyes, as sympathetic as she was to the black experience, could never understand the black experience. And my stepdad was like, you would get frustrated. There would be these moments of tension. But I think what made that relationship solid and where they were able to transcend that is my mom was always like, okay, well, tell me how this does feel for you.
Yes.
Like, I want to know. She wasn't consistently defending her position.
No.
She'd be like, I don't know what that feels like or looks like, but I want you to tell me and I'll understand as best as I can.
Well, and I think too, like with that point, if someone has a lot of trauma or if they've had to deal with this, do I really have to explain to you? Can't you just take my word for it?
Right.
Do I need to get shot with a gun in order for you to go, wow, that must feel terrible?
Yep.
So I think there's also this, and I do see that. And sometimes I enable on this session, I'm like, tell them more about them. I'm like, nope, you know what? You don't have to talk about that.
Yeah.
Why aren't you listening to them? They're telling you how they feel.
Right.
What's happening?
It's true.
What's going on here,
it's
right?
True. No, I agree. And that goes back to like, the racial equity training and all this shit about like, why should it be the,
yes.
But then we're saying this person is the most adversely impacted person in a relationship. But I think that that's the case when you have a relationship where, okay, like a heteronormative relationship, right? Where there's a woman, right? And she's saying Trump's policies, disproportionately impact me. That's true. If you have an interracial relationship and the person of color in the relationship is saying these policies disproportionately impact me, I don't think there's a debate there.
No.
I think that from a clinical perspective and from the perspective of a woke motherfucker, like the person who's in that vulnerable position where there is an administration that's actively punching down on them and enacting legislation that adversely impacts them, they are the aggrieved party.
Yes.
They are the one that's more worthy of sympathy.
Yes.
That doesn't mean that there can't be things done on either side to better understand each other's perspective. But my sympathy is always going to lie with the person whose fucking humanity is trying to be erased. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. Like that's where it's not fair,
Life isn't fair.
Life isn't fair. It's true.
Yes.
So we are always clinically, like whatever day-to-day life, always going to, it doesn't mean we're not going to try to hear the perspective of the person who isn't in the vulnerable position.
Yeah. But it's an equity standpoint, right?
Yes. I'm looking at this from an equity lens. I think that's most important. And I think that teaching people about equity versus equality within the context of a relationship in regard to who someone is within the context of a social and political system and how they're being impacted by decisions that are being made. Like, there's teaching that needs to transpire there.
Well, and we have been taught through Disney and Hollywood that relationships are about love. That's such a small, it's a part of it. It's a foundation. Yeah. Relationships are about finances. Relationships are about division of labor.
Right.
Relationships are about health.
Yep.
Relationships are about politics. Right. And morals and values.
Negotiating the day-to-day, the boring shit, right? Yeah. When all the romance of the first few months where then it becomes everyday like reality.
Yeah. Well, and relationships are also being with the person you're with.
Right.
And listening to them. If it doesn't, I have people come and they're like, well, we have different definitions of cheating. So we just wanted to come to therapy so we can hear like what actually is it? I'm like, it is what your partner thinks it is.
Right.
And if you guys are disagreeing with that, what do you think something I'm going to say is going to fix that? I'm like, I don't know. Are you in a polyamorous relationship? I don't know. Like, that's what I always feel. I do say that.
The answer is right in front of you.
Well, what does your wife think?
You are the answer. Yeah.
Well, what does your husband think? What does your partner think? Yeah. What did they say? If you walked into them and said, hey, this is how I'm going to roll in the relationship. And they go, cool, that works for me. Here's what I'm going to do. That's ethical non-monogamy.
All
That's
it tells
polyamory.
me is that you all never had a dialogue about this prior to. Now one of you is fucking cheating and trying to gaslight you.
That's what I think.
Yep.
Well, no. It's business. It was business. Okay. What kind of business are you in, Epstein?
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. So
anyway,
our final thought here in the spirit of Jerry Springer, relationship expert. Just kidding. I love me some Jerry though. There's no universal answer. Mm-mm. I mean, we have an answer. Me, Jen, and Carolyn have an answer, but
took us a long time to get here.
Yeah, what works for one couple may not work for another. But acknowledging political identity as part of someone's values, not a label, may be part of constructive dating. And I think that's important, moving toward constructive dating.
Oh, I like that. Maybe I should take that.
Although I do want to start a website called hatefuck.com where like Democrats and Republicans just like fight. Imagine this is just fuck. What is this, you guys?
Wait, can you? I need to hear this.
You know what a hate fuck is, right?
No.
Where you despise a person like morally and philosophically, and you cannot stand them, but there's some sort of chemistry, like sexual chemistry between the two, and you're like, I cannot fucking stand you, but I want you inside of me. Like that is
hate fuck.
You've never heard the term
no,
hate
but
fuck?
Now that I know what it is, I know that is.
Like I can imagine, like granted, I'm married, so this is not. Maybe this is a weird fantasy I have as someone who works in government, but I'm like, somebody who thinks completely and totally different from me, but I'm totally attracted to. Like, what would happen in the bedroom? I think there's a market for hatefuck.com.
No, you know what? You are right. Gottman research says that the more volatile couples always have a great sex life.
Right.
Sex life.
That's right. That's right. We're starting a business, y'all. Who wants to be an early investor in hatefuck.com? Hit me up.
It would be a website where people can find that and then go fuck each other.
You know the phone, the experiment that just got set up here? There's one phone here in the Mission District in San Francisco, and it says call a Republican. And there's one phone in Abilene, Texas, in front of a bookstore, which seems like a fucking oxymoron, that says call a Democrat. But this would be like, fuck a Democrat, fuck a Republican. Except not on the phone, on the internet.
Interesting.
Yeah. And you get together and you like fucking battle, like verbal battle.
Are they going to use birth control?
I don't know. That's up to them. That's a personal decision.
Are they going to get abortions?
Sounds like that's a conversation they need to have. But it's like Grindr or Tinder, whatever, which is just supposed to be for straight up sexual encounters. So I think people use Tinder differently now, and maybe Grindr. I don't know. I can't speak for the gay community.
I remember being in a training group, a soup group, where one of the therapists had a client who, from a sexual standpoint, and I think we might have talked about this, but like African-American women really wanted to reenact like hate fuck type stuff with white dudes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then that's another, that's a whole...
happens in the movie, the one I keep talking about.
One battle after another.
Yeah.
That isn't... I mean, we should probably do an episode on this. Like, people who want to be in situations that in real life are incredibly dangerous and terrible, like rape fantasies.
Yes.
But in a context of a consensual, safe environment with someone you trust, that's not something that I lean into.
Yeah.
Like the power and control, sure, like dominate me a little bit, but like if you're talking to me like a rapist, I'm not really feeling that. But again, where does the
interesting,
like the moral decisions and like where does the moral stuff come in from an outsider's perspective on like, oh, I'm judging this. Where do we as people who understand that sexual relationships and kinks are complicated, and as long as they're transpiring between two consenting adults, whatever, like let your freak flag fucking fly. But what about when those kinks seem really offensive to our woke ass ways, right?
Like if someone wants to hate fuck a Nazi.
Yeah, like dress like what if you're Jewish, as Jewish people, what if we're like, I want you to dress up like Hitler and fuck me. No. Like, what is that? I bet you would exist. This might get cut. This might not get cut. Because I've been Sunday drinking.
I know. No, it'll probably get cut.
But honestly, like,
I know.
Where does I think, just to summarize this in a way that I think is palatable, it's like, where does fantasy, like dark fantasy.
This is where I'm hoping that our community will step in.
Yeah.
Jen and I are too vanilla. Mm-hmm. We need your thoughts and opinions on where my guess in the knowledge I have of kink of that would be the fantasy, but that's not the reality. Right. So they're playing something out, but it's not, I'm not really having sex with a Nazi.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. That's the thing. But also it's like, yeah, I'm not going to, but
maybe that is.
Hatefuck.com is the opposite, right? I'm actively looking for someone with some white supremacist values that I can just like, oh, you're hot, but I hate you. Like, I don't know if I could do that. I would be like, don't touch me. I am disgusted.
I don't think we'd be able to do it.
I don't think, but alcohol. I don't know. Anyway. So
we may have to re-record this section.
This took a weird turn because of alcohol. We'll listen to it later and determine whether or not it's fit for public consumption. But I think you all know what we're talking about from a philosophical perspective. And we're just throwing out examples that we don't know if they actually exist. Well, I know
sure they
hate
do.
Fantasies do. Like,
I'm sure they do.
But yeah, like what... Is it our responsibility, or do we even have the right to judge people who do that? Like,
I don't think so.
I don't think I do.
Yeah.
It's two consenting adults.
It's not for me.
Yeah.
It's not for me. But again, these are all things I would want you to bring up on our first date.
Yes.
Hey, do you like making me dress like
a fucking are you cool with dressing up like an SS officer and like demanding to see my papers and then flipping me over and doing me doggy? Like, that's what I'm into. But
that's not what she's into.
It's not.
It's hypothetically.
This is not hypothetical. But what, like, how far does that conversation go on the first date, right?
Well, I mean, it is a very important conversation. I want to know that.
I want to know.
Talk about this stuff.
Let's talk about your kinks right off the bat. I need to know.
We grew up, but see, that's the difference. We grew up in the era of AIDS. And so it was very normalized to talk about sex and say, hey, have you been tested? When was the last time you've been tested? That's sexy.
That's a little bit different. Growing up with like Left Eye from TLC wearing a condom over her eye and promoting safe sex is different than saying, do your sexual fantasies coincide with oppression?
Well, but we have to be comfortable. Politics and sex makes strange. What is that term?
Strange bedfellows.
Really?
Is that true?
Okay.
Yeah. It is true. It is true. Anyway, we've gone down a complete and total rabbit hole. I think it's going to make for an interesting episode. However, I have been drinking. So once sober, we will determine whether or not this is fit for public consumption or will result in us being canceled. So, dating in a politically divided America isn't coming soon. It's here, right? Politics influence how people choose partners and how they interact within relationships and how they handle conflict overall. And Carolyn and I really want to emphasize that no matter what it is that you're talking about within the construct of a relationship, empathy, communication, and mutual respect help people navigate these conversations, these very difficult conversations. And in some cases, you could end up in a stronger relationship because of it.
That's why they show I think it's it might be Cantonese, but the symbol for conflict means challenge opportunity.
Yeah. You grow through challenge.
Yes. So when someone tells me they hate conflict or they're conflict avoidant, I'm like, oh, you hate growth.
Yep. Conflict a lot of times will result in growth.
Hopefully. If you have someone who's gentle and empathetic and communicative and respectful.
Yep. Discomfort is not a bad thing, you guys.
No.
But feeling uncomfortable and unsafe is.
And being in pain.
Yes.
Stretch your nervous system and then savor.
Right.
As Deb Data says, but don't be in pain.
No, don't be in pain. All right, I've been sitting too long. My ass is in pain. I'm getting hungry.
This will be very fun to listen to.
This is going to be fun to listen to. I'm going to go upstairs and make a nice lamb dinner.
Yum.
And you all are going to go to TikTok and be sure to follow TWAT, TWATJC. That's us, The World According to Jen and Carolyn. You filthy animals is what it stands for.
Yep. And subscribe.
Yes.
And follow and subscribe and share.
Yes, please do. And also YouTube, we need some help there. We're almost a community of 8,000 strong on TikTok. We've put a lot of effort in there, but there are some real fucking weirdos.
Yeah.
On YouTube that I'm confident if I saw their pictures, I would not be interested in hate fucking. Yes, there are some really really dark, sinister trolls on there. So we can use you on YouTube, y'all. Like and subscribe or whatever they say.
Show this to let your partner hear this.
Yes.
Use this as a date activity and then discuss after. And feel free to message us if you have questions.
How fun would a date be where you sit around and drink some wine, or if you're sober, whatever, do whatever sober people do. I have no idea what that looks like. And listen to our episode and talk about it.
Yes.
You know what we should come up with? We should put in the show notes is questions to start that conversation with your partner where you all don't align on certain things politically. We're going to give you some tools.
Tools. People love tools.
People love tools, y'all.
Yeah.
Use them tools. Listen to The World of Jen and Carolyn. Oh, and by the way, happy Valentine's Day. This is our Valentine's episode.
Happy Valentine's Day
VD.
to my favorite Galentine.
Yay. Yay. All right, everybody. As always, thanks for listening.